PokeBabs! Hey guys, welcome back to PokeBabs. Just a little update on what's going on in the tournament. We actually had essentially a bye in round 5. Our opponent actually just conceded the match because they weren't able to make it work with their schedule. And so unfortunately did not get a play. Fortunately, we did get a win for that round, so we're actually at 3-2 now. And 4-2 is a record that is reasonable. I mean, it's reasonable to think we could be in contention for prizes. So we'll see how that turns out. But we're going up against Chris, 10-11, and all water deck, which would point to Greninja for sure. So we'll see what they've got in store. Again, we're using that Dragon Rayquaza deck. And we are going to start with a Rayquaza-EX. And we get the confirmation of what our opponent's playing here. And we do see a Remoraid, so I'm guessing it is just the... Yep, there we go. So it's going to be the Greninja deck with a with Octillery. And our hand here is pretty good. Probably going to have to discard a Mega Rayquaza. We don't see much out of our opponent, so if we get a really crazy turn here with a switch or something like that, or an AZ or something like that, we might be able to, well, we probably won't get a knockout, but we'll definitely get ourselves set up well. The matchup is not all that favorable, to be honest, though, because of Giant Water Shuriken, and again, that lack of Hex Maniac is really going to take a toll on us here. So with this initial Hoopa, we're definitely going to grab a Hydreigon and a Shaman. Could grab the second Hydreigon. We do definitely want to have a spot for Reshiram, though, but that's what Skyfield is for. So we're going to grab those three, and Giratina is not going to be helpful in this matchup unless they play something like Splash Energy. Even still, I don't think it would be helpful. So, yeah, these hitting through 6 non-EX attackers is going to be difficult for sure. We thankfully Dragon Strike does 130 though, which is enough to knock out a Greninja before it break evolves. So there are opportunities there. We Trainer's Mail, and we could either grab a supporter or the Skyfield. I'm going to grab N, play down another Rayquaza, and we're just going to play the N. And let's see what we can get here. Alright, so we got energy, which is good. Would have been nice to get a Rayquaza, or not a Rayquaza, but a Reshiram down. Attach another energy, but if we get another Double Dragon, we will be able to knock out pretty much anything our opponent will have on the board for the moment. We'll see if they're going to be able to get out their Frogadiers here with the water duplicates. They do retreat into Frogadier and put the water on, so presumably we're going to see a water duplicates here. We see Dive Ball, probably grabbing the Octillery. And we're going to see an evolution there. So our opponent's turn is not quite over yet. The question is, do they want to use Abysmal Hand? They could be drawing into a Frogadier there, which is the downside of drawing before you play water duplicates. Alright, so let's see what comes out here. We see a Froakie. And I'm expecting we'll see a water duplicates. We do. See how many they can get out. If they get all 3, that would be what they do. So, on to our turn. I'm going to put out that Skyfield. Don't really want to put down the Rayquaza just because I'm hoping to get a double dragon. So we're just going to end. We missed the double dragon, unfortunately, and our hand is, unfortunately, really pretty much unplayable beyond that. I mean, we'll have something to do next turn, but Yeah, not much going on. Unfortunately, we are going to let our opponent be setting up here a little more. Now, if we can get a knockout with a regular Quaza next turn, and then the following turn we can Dragon Ascent, that might be all right. We got to bump one of our Pokemon here. We don't want. We'll get rid of. I think. Yeah, we'll get rid of the Shaman. It's too easy of a target in this matchup. See a dive ball, probably grabbing another Greninja, I would guess. And let's see what we see here. Trainer's Mail for Wally. Okay, so this is where things can get a little messy. Let's see. So we see Muscle Band and a Wally. Probably going for the break, I would guess, on the active. Yep, so that's what they go for. We haven't seen Abysmal Hand yet, so I'm sure they'll draw up to 5 at some point. Yep, that's right now. Rough Sea seals the damage off Octillery. See a Shadow Stitching, so we actually can't even retreat out right now. So that could make things difficult for sure. Let's see what we want to do here. I mean, at this point, maybe going for a Mega Rayquaza is not bad because it's the only way we can knock out the break anyways. And we do have switching cards in our deck. We can Mega Turbo this way too. Get the Lightning on the Mega. And if we got like a switch and a double dragon, that would be pretty nice. So we'll see what we get off of this. Got neither. Let's see. Skyfield and Ultra Ball would allow us to continue our turn. Although an AZ would have been nice to pick up. AZ is nice to pick up that Hydreigon, but I don't know if it really matters. We do get an Ultra Ball. I think the other Shaman is in the deck. Just going to end our turn, though. We need to... excuse me. We need to also find a way out of the active next turn, so... Would have been asking for a lot. Let's see here. We see a Giant Water Shuriken going down on the Mega. Which is not good, for sure. We do have that Delta Wild does make us resistant, essentially, to the water attacks, but not the Giant Water Shurikens. And again, this is where the lack of Hex Maniac is hurting so badly. Let's see if we just see another Shadow Stitching from our opponent. I'm not sure what they're going to go for here. Maybe just try and keep locking that Greninja in place. Or that Hydreigon in place. We see a Wally again. Presumably on the active again. And yep. So that makes things even more difficult. We see an Abysmal Hand drawing 2 more cards into their hand. Will we see a Giant Water Shuriken? We do. Wonder if we will see another Giant Water Shuriken. Unfortunately, our only attacker with energy right now is falling slowly. Only 2 more Giant Water Shurikens. We may need to go after the Mega, or we may need to use the Mega here, but it's going to be tough. We'll Ultra Ball so that hopefully we can get a Mega Turbo and get things going again. Bunnelby could be useful, but I think we're just going to grab Reshiram. Throw that down, and we're going to play N. Mostly because I don't want to get rid of multiple supporters. Alright, so if we would have found a switch, we would have been able to find a knockout this turn. Unfortunately, we did not. And using the Mega Turbo right now might not even be that wise, just because they can Shuriken us twice to knock out the Mega. So instead, I'm just going to put an energy onto the regular Rayquaza-EX. Unfortunately, and I think we're just going to have to end our turn there. Let's see what we can pull off here. Like I said, I don't think it's a very good matchup, especially when they can use Shadow Stitching to keep us stuck in the active. Kind of was an oversight on my part. See a Water Shuriken, giant Water Shuriken on the Mega. So now we're just one giant Water Shuriken away from that being knocked out. And they could do that potentially this turn. We see a Megaphone, which is fairly inconsequential. We see a XY Greninja with the Water Shuriken, so we'll see what that does for them. We see an N. Presumably they're going to get an energy or two off of this. Not sure if they're playing something like Energy Retrieval either. We do see they were playing Fisherman, though. We do see a Retreat, and that makes me think that they're going to go for another giant Water Shuriken, knock out the Mega. And, yeah, I'm just not feeling like this is a good... I mean, we got to get ahead of them, and we just didn't. We let them get way too set up. And so, I can already see the writing on the wall here. We won't be able to do enough damage to take knockouts. All they need to do is... They probably could have the game next turn, so we're going to go into game 2. That was not ideal. We got... We kind of missed by a turn or two. It was pretty close, but we could have if we could have gotten the knockouts at the right times, maybe we would have had a chance, but just not quite there. So let's go into game 2. We'll see what we can do against this deck. It's not the ideal matchup though, for sure. And I was actually really surprised because I didn't think we'd see Greninja after it didn't do very well in, what was it? Can't remember what that tournament was, but there was that one tournament where everyone started playing the Darkrai Giratina deck. So I didn't think we'd be seeing it much. Hexmaniac obviously shut it down a lot, and so that was part of the reason I didn't even include that Hexmaniac, and part of the reason why I considered this deck, because I just didn't think we'd see much Greninja, but in round 6, we are seeing Greninja. So we start a Rayquaza again, which is not ideal again. I mean, we really want to start Reshiram, especially in a matchup where we need to get out ahead. So we'll see what happens here. Let's see if it will draw our mulligan for sure. Unfortunately, it is a Mega Turbo, and our hand is completely unplayable. I mean... We can put down a stadium, we can play escape rope, but neither of those things are very helpful. And, I mean, we're just going to have to pass. I think there's really nothing to do here. It's really bad. So we see energy and a trainer's mail from our opponent for a VS Seeker. So, interesting. Maybe they have a... Nope, just a bubble. Wow. Okay, so we... Wow. Okay, so we draw a Versus Seeker, which means nothing, really. Wow, we just can't get anything going here. Our opponent, unfortunately, didn't get anything either, but, I mean, we just didn't get a chance to even get, like, a Dragon Claw off. I mean, just nothing at all. You can see our opponent's hand's probably really bad, too. We see a Level Ball out of them, so that might grab a Remoraid. Or maybe a Froakie, I'm not sure. Or actually, probably going to go for the Frogadier, sorry. Yeah. So they're going to grab Frogadier, and they are going to Water Duplicates. So we see Water Duplicates. We'll see if they get out all 3 Frogadier. And they do. So we'll see if they were just sitting on a good hand or if it was really that bad. Let's see. We put down another... Yeah, I mean, we could retreat right now, but then we might fall into that Shadow Stitching lock, although we do have the escape rope. So let's see what happens here. Obviously, not a good start. Definitely not a good start. And our our opponent does have the Greninja, so they're going to be able to start attacking us for damage now. Question is, do they go for a Shadow Stitching? Do they go for our Moonlight Slash and just try and start putting on pressure for knockouts? We'll see what happens here. Our opponent still hasn't played a supporter, though, which is about the only encouraging thing we've seen so far. And the fact that they've only put one energy down in, 3 or 4 turns now, means they probably don't have energy. So that's good as well. Thankfully, they're having a bad hand since we are having a horrendous hand. We see a Shadow Stitching doing 40, and we won't be able to play any sort of Hoopas or any of that good stuff. Playing the Escape Rope now, main reason being he's got no free retreaters out right now, and obviously energy is low, so hoping to buy ourselves a turn away from Shadow Stitching. And they send up a Frogadier. We will pass. And this is really rough. Another Trainer's Mail out of our opponent, grabbing nothing. Wow. So, okay. We unfortunately do see an energy out of our opponent, so they will be able to Shadow Stitching again, which does make things very difficult. Very difficult indeed. Shadow Stitching, so we can't use our abilities. And let's see what we draw into a Spirit Link. Okay, might as well put it down, I guess. There's no real reason not to. And, wow, what do you know? Now we can play 0-6, but only on our own tool. So, again, this is just not looking good. Opponent does say their hand's bad as well. We can tell it's very bad. They do have an Ultra Ball, but I'm guessing they do not play Shaman, and so yeah, that makes sense that the Ultra Ball would. I'm just telling my opponent what my hand is, just because it's that absurd how useless it is. And we see the break out of our opponent, which will allow them to finally start doing some damage to us. They go for the active, and I'm guessing a Shadow Stitching is coming next. If they would have earlier gone for the Octillery, they might have drawn themselves into something better, but since they didn't, it's not the case. Question here is, who do we send up? They did go for the Moonlight Slash, so that's good because that means we will be able to use abilities this turn. And we get an N, which at least is something we can play down. I don't really want to give my opponent a better hand, but we are so behind in this match. I think N is just our only option. I'm going to play the N and hopefully grab something a little better. Alright, so still not good, but we'll see what we can do with it. We can grab a Hoopa, which would be great. Excuse me. The Hoopa would allow us to get the Mega and thin our deck out a little bit. So let's see what we can do here. Scoundrel Ring. We'll grab these 3. Sounds good. So we can Mega Evolve. And we can then play the Mega Turbo. And then we can set up for 5 cards. Alrighty, so finally we've got some more stuff that's a little more playable. Can grab an N for next turn. That seems like probably the best option at this point. We do have AZ. Just going to opt to grab nothing so we can get more off of a Shaman here. And so we will set up for 4 more cards, just really going aggressive here. I don't know how else we can keep up with this kind of a deck, especially after we just end them into a better hand, presumably. We'll put down a Spirit Link. We can attach an energy to the active. And it's going to get a little messy here for sure. We're going to retreat into probably just... Man, I don't really want to retreat into Rayquaza, but everything else has too high of a retreat cost. And let's see what happens here. Okay, so they do get the Giant Water Shuriken. We'll see how much I help my opponent's hand by playing the end. We do at least have something playable for next turn. We see Giant Water Shuriken on our Mega, which puts us which puts 100 damage on us now. We see a Rough Seas, which doesn't matter too much to us at this point. And most likely we're going to have to Sycamore next turn. We see a Shadow Stitching. The Mega Turbo just doesn't seem worth it. Preserving the Mega Turbo. But well, now that we drew a second Sycamore, maybe it would be better to end. But our opponent didn't play a supporter again, which means they may have put themselves into a bad hand as well, which could make things really interesting. We'll grab, we already have a VS Seeker, so we'll grab Zero Sick, I guess. Don't really want to be drawing a Zero Sick. Don't want to draw a VS Seeker either, but definitely don't mind just discarding the Zero Sick. And the question is where to put the energy. I think we're just going to put it on the Mega. Go it all in on this Mega. If it pays off for us, and our opponent doesn't have much of a hand, we could take a knockout next turn, and things could start to get interesting. So we're gonna discard our energy there, and we're gonna grab a Reshiram, which we may or may not get a chance to use. I think Bunnelby sounds nice too. Regardless, we want something so that when they bump the stadium, we can bump our Shaymin-EX. And I missed what happened right there. See a Dive Ball? Probably grabbing, okay, just interesting. So they're not going for the Remoraid line, or the Remoraid Octillery line, which works for me because that's what makes matchups really hard. We do see an energy retrieval though, unfortunately, so we will be seeing a Giant Water Shuriken and maybe a regular Water Shuriken as well. But I'm still holding that hope for the moment, because if they don't really have anything else in hand, we can start attacking with the Mega. And if they can't do anything beyond that, I'm not sure what their plan is. Wow, they actually go after the Shaymin, which I think is probably a misplay, because if we get a if we get a Shrine of Memories, then we could bump our own Shaymin. So I kind of am tempted to Sycamore here, but I could also see if I Lysander, I'll bias a turn with Shadow Stitching, so that we, if they don't have energy, I Lysander, we could buy a turn with Shadow Stitching. We'd be able to switch out next turn. But of course, then I'm missing an energy drop. But I think this line of play works well. They've already gone through a fair amount of energy, I believe, and if we can stop them from going for, I mean, they'd need 2 energies now to knock out the Shaymin. So I just don't really see that happening. Or a Lysander and an energy, but I don't think they have a Lysander either. So we see an energy going to the active. Maybe we'll just see a Mist-Slash. That would be an ideal situation, I think, at this point. We see a retreat. The question is, do they have another energy to knock out the Shaymin? That could be devastating. Just a Shadow Stitching. So we did force them to burn another energy, which is good. We see a Trainer's Mail. We'll play that. No harm in playing the Trainer's Mail. And we're going to grab a Super Rod, I guess. Not sure maybe it's not even worth it to grab the Super Rod. Might not be worth grabbing anything. Let's see. If we grab it and then we play a Sycamore, it would be our last VS Seeker, which would be a bummer. But we're going to go for the Lysander play again. If I can buy I really, really want, I mean, I've kind of invested in this, this technique now of going like this. See, because if we top deck like a double Dragon Energy here, we can Lysander the break and take the knockout on it, and that would be huge. So, I mean, I've kind of, okay, so we just see a Froakie come down and another Froakie, so we kind of know what their hand is now. Yeah, so they can't really do anything, and we do get the double Dragon, which is exactly what I was hoping for. Now we can retreat for free because we didn't get hit with Shadow Stitching. We can Lysander up the break, and our opponent may have absolutely nothing to do against us at this point, which is amazing to think that would work that way. We will have to discard the energies, but if we can get that Shrine of Memories, we can start taking knockouts on Greninjas, and like I said, there is still hope in this game. We get a double dragon. Wow. Okay, so that's huge. Um, Now, unfortunately, we do just have an N in hand, which we don't really want to N our opponent. But we can spend one more turn. Oh, wow. So we got another double dragon, which allows me to just go be really aggressive. We're going to Dragon Ascent for a second straight turn, with the prospect of maybe a third turn of Dragon Ascent next turn. So, obviously, overkill on the Froakie, but we see a Mega Turbo, and we do have an energy in the discard, so we're slowly building up to be able to do several Dragon Ascents in a row. And this is the danger of the deck. If you can't get set up, we're just going to... If you can't knock out the Mega Rayquaza, we're just going to roll you over. We do see another Froakie come up, which is a smart play for my opponent. But they don't have any energy attachments. And, wow. So we're going to go... We'll attach the Double Dragon. We're definitely going to also... Or we're going to Mega Turbo. Let's see. I think we're just going to have to go for another Dragon Ascent, as absurd as that sounds. Yeah, I just don't know. I mean, if we had drawn this Shrine of Memories, that would have been great, but we drew Ultra Ball. Not helpful, really. So 3 Dragon Ascents in a row, 900 damage. And see what our opponent can do here. It'll be interesting to see what they send up. I mean, obviously the free retreat Greninja makes the most sense. So that's what comes up. And we'll see what happens here. We will see what happens. Muscle Band and an Energy, unfortunately, but that's not going to be... They're just going to go for a Shadow Stitching. And again... Okay, so we'll see. We can Mega Turbo... the Trainer's Mail will be interesting to see what we get off the Trainer's Mail. And we do get a Sycamore and a Shrine. Actually, let's see. So the Shrine, unfortunately, we would not be able to attack, so I think we're going to have to go for Sycamore. We do only have 10 cards left in deck, but we only need to take 3 more knockouts, and that would give us enough turns if we hit everything we need. We see there is another Double Dragon left in the deck, and I believe there's also the Lightning Energy. So, slim chance that we can stick in this match. So we play the Sycamore. And we do get the Shrine and the Double Dragon. So, now the Shrine does allow us to bump that Shaman. And I think we're going to... Well, we're going to also dump the Rayquaza just because it's so heavily damaged. I think those are the things we need to get rid of because... I mean, if they Lysander the Hoopa at this point, we are in really deep trouble. So at this point, though, we're gonna go for a Dragon Strike because there's just no point in burning the energy with the Dragon Ascent. Although we could obviously and attach a fire next turn, we could discard 2 fire. So we do have the opportunity to use 2 more Dragon Strikes. We get heads. So we can do Dragon Strike, but we have the opportunity to do 2 more Dragon Ascents. And wow, okay, so if our opponent can't get anything in the next couple turns, we may actually be able to pull out this game, which would be fantastic. So we'll see what happens here. We see the VS Seeker for the Lysander. If that comes down on the Hoopa, that could be really, really devastating. It is on the Hoopa, and wow, that is rough. We can manually retreat, but it'll take 2 turns. We do get a fire energy, so guess we'll just attach that to the active, and we only have 1 turn left, though, and that's really disappointing. Unless, of course, oh wow, our opponent plays N, which may actually bail us out. We know we can do 2 more. We know we can... let's see, we can't Dragon Strike now, but we can Dragon Ascent. We'll see what we can do here. Opponent is going to go for a Mist Slash here. If we draw an energy, we can retreat and Dragon Ascent for the knockout. And then we need to draw... So we need to draw the fire energy here. We see another... we see a Water Shuriken and a Mist Slash. If we draw the fire energy here, we can retreat out. And then we need to draw the lightning energy later. So, okay, well, all right. So this could work too. just to make sure we don't deck out, so this way we can ensure that or give ourselves a good chance. Wow, we still have the switch in the deck. I forgot about that. We can make sure that next turn we draw something good. Hopefully we do not draw the lightning energy next turn. That would be a little bit disappointing. If our opponent doesn't get a break or something like that, we could stay in this. We see a trainer's mail. We did not want to see that out of our opponent. What are they going to get off this trainer's mail? An N. Oh my goodness. If they go for the N right now, they're only helping us. They play a megaphone, which is, again, inconsequential. And they do play the N because it draws them cards, so that makes sense. The question is, what will we draw? We draw this. We draw the switch, and that will allow us to Dragon Ascent next turn, and ensure ourselves another Dragon Ascent. We see the break coming down. Do they have the energy to do to let's see if they have the energy? Oh my gosh, they don't have the energy. They can't use the Giant Water Shuriken to take the knockout on the Mega. We draw the fire energy. I don't think that matters so much now. It could matter if they Lysander the Hoopa once again. We can take the knockout with a Dragon Ascent this turn. And we would want to put that lightning energy down as well. The question is, can our opponent knock us out? It's going to be very close. We know they play Muscle Band. We're going to put down that lightning energy. We still have the fire in case they go for a Lysander play. And we will be able to Dragon Ascent this turn. We're going to get rid of that double dragon just in case they play a special energy discarding card. We do have enough energy for another Dragon Ascent. If they Lysander up, if they like Shadow Stitching, if they Lysander like a Giratina and Shadow Stitching, that's where things could get a little bit dicey. We'll see what our opponent can do here. And wow, can our opponent pull this out? I don't know if it's possible. We see a Dive Ball. For a Froakie, that doesn't really concern me all that much. We only need to take one more prize. And we see a Remoraid. Does our opponent even have an energy? Oh no, a Fisherman. Wow. Is that going to be enough damage though? Well, they put the energy on the Froakie. Oh no. They're going for a bubble play. The bubble is a Tails, and we can actually take the win here with the Dragon Ascent. Wow. Wow, that's amazing. And our opponent did give themselves a chance to deck us out eventually, but we do get the final knockout on the Froakie. And how many times did we Dragon Ascent that game? I think 5 times we Dragon Ascented. Something like 5 times. So just massive damage there. And we're going into Game 3. Wow, I'm surprised we were able to pull that off. And really hurting our opponent without that Octillery down. And then they just kept playing N, and they bailed us out. We were going to deck out. I'm pretty sure we were going to deck out, and they bailed us out with an N, hoping they could secure a win. Now, I mean, yeah, I'm pretty sure if our opponent had even just passed that turn, we wouldn't have really had a chance. So, unless that was their last Pokemon on the field, I'm not really sure. But yeah, I mean, I think our opponent could have let us deck out instead, but we're able to pull out the win, and we're 1-1 in this match. If we can win this last game, we go to 4-2, which puts us in decent standings. And my opponent did want to go first, which makes sense. And let's see here. What do they start? As far as we can tell, the other really great thing is it seems like our opponent does not play Jirachi, which is obviously bad for us. We do see they mulligan, but we start with a Shaman, which, I mean, there are worse starters for us, honestly. We don't want to see a Shaman, though. If we can get a Reshiram down, though, we could retreat with Shaman and then Turbo Blaze, which wouldn't be too bad, I suppose, if we can get other stuff as well. We see another mulligan. But our opponent is going first, so they also have the opportunity to play N and such. We'll see what happens here. They get a starting Pokemon. We will draw 2 mulligans. 3 mulligans, sorry. We do get a Reshiram, which is good. And our deck is relatively item reliant. So, or not item. Well, it is item reliant, but it's also relatively ability reliant. So, things like shadow stitching can be difficult for us. We see they get the Remoraid down on turn 1 though, which I think the Octillery was really the difference in the first game. I mean, just not being able to end our opponent down. Obviously, they got a great setup as well while we were sitting behind, but I mean, our hand was so bad during the first game or during that second game, and somehow we were still able to pull it off. Now, trying to figure out how could we attack with a Reshiram. So, unfortunately, we didn't get an Ultra Ball, and so I'm trying to figure out, can we attack with a Reshiram on turn 2 to take a knockout without getting a switching card? We would have to, let's see. So if we attach to Shaman next turn, see, if I would have attached a fire to Shaman this turn, we could have retreated. Next turn, attach Double Dragon and Turbo Blaze. I'm not really sure if it would have been possible. I don't know if it would have been possible for us to quite get set up by next turn, unless, of course, we get something like a switch. We do see the Water Duplicates turn 2 out of our opponent, which means they're going to get a good setup. And only the 1 energy, though, which makes me think they don't have another energy. We get a Shaman. Let's see. If we put the energy on the active, then we for sure can't get the knockout this turn. I really want to go for it, so I think I'm just going to put the Double Dragon down. So, yeah, I think I kind of want to put the Double Dragon down on the Reshiram, and we won't be drawing much with Shaman no matter what, though, which is what's difficult about this. If we use energy to retreat, then we can get another fire out of our hand with a Reshiram. With a Turbo Blaze. So I'm actually going to I could put a Spirit Lake down just to make sure we draw more Shaman. I mean, obviously we need to get something going this turn or else we're going to get steamrolled. And opting not to retreat, unfortunately. So I could have gotten rid of it. And wow, okay. So we get the switch off the top deck. So we were so close to being able to... I mean, if we had just gotten the switch that last turn instead of, what was it, the Shaman, then we would have had an opportunity to get a knockout on the Frogadier. Now, if they evolve into Greninja, we can't take a knockout next turn, which they do. And the Rough Seas could also be really difficult to deal with. They discard a Rough Seas, though, and an N as well, which is interesting. Probably noting that we don't have a good hand. We see the Octillery. Unfortunately, they do get the Octillery out, which... Again, I think that's really going to help them a lot. I've always thought that the Octillery builds are more consistent. So we'll see what happens here. We see double evolution, triple evolution with the Octillery. We see another dive ball. Our opponent's getting a really ideal start here. They get another Greninja out, and the question is, what are they going to go for here? Are they going to go for a Shadow Stitching, or are they going to go for a Moonlight Slash? They could do 100 damage. They do the Moonlight Slash. They can do 100 if they take the water back, which they do. Setting up Shaman for a knockout later. We could switch or retreat. I think we're just going to retreat. We're going to grab an N because we need... Wow, we've had such a bad start here. We're gonna retreat, and I could attach the Double Dragon. We're gonna Turbo Blaze to itself first. I could attach the Double Dragon, but which would allow us when we have to discard an energy, we can discard the fire energy with Brightwing. So we do get a Rayquaza. We get another Reshiram, and yeah, I mean, it's not horrible. We do get an AZ as well, so we can pick up that Shaman if it doesn't get knocked out next turn. And we'll see what happens here. We will Brightwing for 110. Again, just shy of the knockout there, which is unfortunate. And see what happens. Obviously, our opponent is set up well. And when Greninja gets set up, it is very, very hard to do anything about. Especially when you haven't gotten any sort of a prize lead. We see in our opponents, they do have Rough Seas, 2 Rough Seas prize, but they discarded one already, so Not sure if they're playing 3 or 4. If they're playing only 3, oh well. So here we see the Greninja coming down XY, and that means they can get a knockout on the Shaman with a Water Shuriken. Which I think is what we're going to see here. We see a Water Shuriken. Where is it going, though? It does go onto the Shaman, so they do take their prizes, and we'll see what they take. Probably a Rough Seas and something else, I would guess. That way they can heal this turn and retreat out. They do get the Rough Seas, and we'll see what happens here. We'll see the Rough Seas come down. They will heal that Greninja. Presumably they will be retreating into another Greninja, and what they will do at that point, I am not sure. Not sure if they've used Abysmal Hand yet this turn either. I don't think they have. Things are not looking good this time around. I mean, last time our opponent obviously wasn't drawing well, but they didn't have the Octillery. Now they have the Octillery, and I think that means they have a really good chance of doing better here. We see a Wally. Wonder who they will evolve. They do go for the bench Greninja, which makes sense. They just put energy on it. And we see the Abysmal Hand drawing up to 5. Retreat for free. And we're going to see, we'll see if we also see a Giant Water Shuriken, so they can actually knock out a Reshiram, which will put us with no energy on the board and almost nothing else really set up. If we could somehow retaliate with a, let's see, I mean, we'd need the Mega, a double, we need the Mega, a Turbo Blaze, and a double Mega Turbo, which is possible, very unlikely, albeit, but it is possible. Let's see, we're going to discard VS Seeker and, okay, I think I'm just going to go for the Shaman setup. I'm going to grab a Hoopa, and we're going to put down the Hoopa. We will grab a Mega for sure. We'll grab a Hydreigon as well, or 2 Hydreigon, so we can retreat and see what we can do here. If we can get the Spirit Link, I mean, like I said, it's very unlikely, but a double Dragon, we need to draw almost perfect off of this. Spirit Link, double Dragon, and 2 Mega Turbos, which, again, like I said, not very likely, but we've got to go for whatever chance we have at this point. We see we will draw 5 more cards. We get the Spirit Link. We get a Fire Energy. But not much else. Man. I mean, it was obviously a long shot. Let's see what we can get rid of with the Battle Compressor. We'll get rid of Giratina. It's not going to be useful. Probably get rid of both Giratina. Xerosic, most likely not useful, and we'll get rid of an energy so that we'll be able to Mega Turbo. I'm not even sure if we had the energy in the discard to Mega Turbo before. And we could put down the Spirit Link, or we could just Mega Evolve. I think we'll just go for the Mega Evolve. There's not much else to do this turn. Obviously, the other option would be to retreat out of Reshiram, but if we see a Shadow Stitching, we won't be able to get out of the active, which is obviously a bad thing. We see another break come down. Will that go on the damaged Greninja or a different one? Also, they haven't healed their Greninja yet with Rough Seas, so assume that will be happening here. Yes, down to 50, or they have 50 damage on it now, which is bad, obviously. Alright, so we see a Giant Water Shuriken on the Shaman. Will we see a second Giant Water Shuriken on the other Shaman? They still haven't used Abysmal Hand. I get the feeling we're going to see another Giant Water Shuriken knocking out Shaman. Things are really going downhill at this point. I don't know if there's anything we can do once they get this set up. They actually didn't get the Giant Water Shuriken, but we probably will see one now after the Abysmal Hand. And we see a Fisherman, I believe. So now there's basically no hope because they've got 3 energy in hand. They can Water Shuriken as much as they want. And probably going to see we probably are going to see a shadow stitching, so we can't even retreat out of the active. And that's, I mean, that's just devastating, but this is what happens against Greninja. If they get set up, things go downhill quick, and they only need to take one more prize here, which I think they'll be able to take by next turn. If not this turn, I don't think, let's see, a Water Shuriken coming down onto Reshiram. Yep, so they will be able to take the win this turn with a Moonlight Slash for 100. And well played by my opponent. Unfortunately, we did end up 3-3 in this tournament, but you know, I'm still glad that I was able to show you these matches, because I just think that it is important for us to, you know, remember this is a trading card game. This is a deck building game where you can still have fun. You can still make new decks and just mess around with cards to see if they work. It's always great to be able to do it in a competitive setting like this against players that I know are going to be relatively good. So, hope you enjoyed. We will see you with another video on PokeBabs. Thanks for watching. Bye.